Okay, let me get the guitar. All right. Let's see, what are we going to chant? Something spiritual, hopefully. Let's see. Okay. Ooh. This is one I like. Shiguru Charana Padma. Shiguru Charana Padma. Kipanamakati Sadma. Matan Mui Savatana Mate. Shiguru Charana Padma. Alapatati Sadma. Matan Mui Savatana Mate. Krishna Prapti Oy Oy Kara Prasade Bai Bhaktori Agyaye Krishna Prapti Oy Oy Shicheti Kori Akaikya Aranakori Omane Atsaha Guru Kalpadma Pakya Shicheti Kori Akaikya Aranakori They say Dhammagati Ye prasade pure sarva azama Charan merate They say Dhammagati Ye prasade pure sarva azama Janme Prabhu say Kudana Tiro ye Janme Prabhu say Vivekyan Ready Prakasita go Vivekyan Ready Prakasita go Prema Bhaktiya Diya Asayate Prema Bhaktiya Vedegaya Charita Go, Vedegaya Charita Go, Shigaru Karuna Sindhu Adamajin Nada Bandu, Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamajin Nada Bandu, Lokanath Lukira Jivana, Lokanath Lukira Jivana, Abraham Kurataya de Amore Padachaya, Abraham Kurataya de Amore Padachaya, Vyas Kusutri Bhuvana, Vyas Kusutri Bhuvana, Prabhupada, 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 Nichai Gaur, Haribo, 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 Jai Om Shivaya Paramahansa Paravidakacharya Ostratana Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Savaya Chaitanya Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Friends say, Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasani Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopika Bharat Sayam Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Mathuram Ki Jai, Jagannatha Swami Ki Jai, Munamai Ki Jai, Shrimati Galasi Devi Ki Jai, Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Adhyadva. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Namanam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharne Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschachadesha Tarne Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, anyway, we're back in North Carolina today. So, we're going to continue with our study of the Jaiva Dharma, and this is a very interesting story we're going to hear today about the attempt to get Brajanath married. And ultimately, they'll succeed, but not in the way that they're planning. Okay, without further ado, Om Gana Timidanda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master's divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So let's share the screen. See if I can find the screen to share. Hold on a second. Alright, that's why we're having trouble sharing the screen. Okay, now we will share the screen. Chapter 17, The Liberated Jiva. Oh, someone said the volume is too low. Let me check it out. Give me 1 second. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. I'll make it a little higher. Okay. According to this, it's not too low, but anyway. We'll continue. Middle of the night, middle class. Okay. Chapter 17, The Liberated Jiva. Brajanath's grandmother had made all arrangements for his marriage. She told him everything that night. He did not answer, and after eating, lay down and began thinking about the condition of the jiva in bondage. Late in the night, he went to sleep. The elderly grandmother was thinking about how to get him married. How to get him to agree to the marriage. At that time, Vani Madhava, his maternal cousin, arrived. The girl he was to marry was Vani Madhava's paternal cousin. Vijaya Vidyaratna had sent Vani Madhava to finalize the marriage. He said, "Oh, grandmother, why the delay? Please marry off Brajanath quickly." The grandmother said with a little sorrow, "Brother, you are a worldly man. You must convince him to get married. He does not listen to anything I say." Oh my God. That's what happens when you become Krishna conscious. So Vani Madhava was rather short, with a short neck, dark complexion, and blinking eyes. He was involved in everything but accomplished nothing. Hearing the old woman, he said, "Do not worry. If you give me the order, what can I not do? You know my skill. I can multiply money many times." Boy, what a false ego. "I will speak to Brajanath. If I succeed, you should treat me to a feast of puris." The grandmother said. Brajanath ate and went to bed. Hearing that, Vani Madhava said, "I will come tomorrow morning to do the work." He then departed. The next morning he arrived with a pot in his hand. Brajanath came outside and sat down in the Durga temple hall. Seeing Vani Madhava, he said, "Brother, what is on your mind?" Vani Madhava said, "You have studied and taught Nyaya scriptures for a long time. You are the son of Harinath Judamani. Your name is famous everywhere. You are the only male in your house. If there are no descendants, who will take care of your big house? We request that you get married." Brajanath said, "Why do you uselessly agitate me? I recently have taken shelter of Gaura Sundara's devotees. I have no desire to get involved in worldly life. I will be content to live near the Vaishnavas in Mayapur. I do not like material life. I will take sannyas, or take shelter at the feet of the Vaishnavas. I have told this to you because you are a close friend. You should never reveal this to anyone." Seeing Brajanath's mood, Vani Madhava thought, "I cannot handle him in a straightforward manner. I will have to trick him." Hiding his thoughts with deceit, he said, "I assist you in all affairs. When you were studying, I used to carry your books. If you now take sannyas, I will carry your staff and water pot." Rascals have two tongues, as they say, forked tongues, like a snake. To one person they say one thing, and to another person they say something else. In this way they create a disturbance. One cannot understand their intentions immediately. They have honey on their tongues and poison in their hearts. Hearing Vani Madhava's sweet words, Brajanath said, "Brother, I know that you have been an intimate friend for a long time. Grandmother has the intelligence of a woman. She does not understand deep matters. By some means or other, she wants to throw me into the hell of family life by getting me married. If you can make her understand that she should stop this, I will be indebted to you." Vani Madhava said, "No one can go against your desire as long as I am here. I will do what is necessary. Just tell me one thing. Why have you developed such hatred for the world? On whose advice have you taken up this mood of detachment?" Brajanath explained to him how he became detached. He also said, "Old Ranganath Das Babaji of Mayapur is my instructor. After sunset I will go to him and obtain respite from the fire of samsara." Samsara means like repeated birth and death. "He has been especially merciful to me." Evil-minded Vani Madhava thought, "I have found the source of Brajanath's weakness. I will be able to bring him to the right path by deception and skill. Aloud he said, "Today I will change grandmother's heart in private. Now I am going home." Saying this, he first returned home. After some time, by another path, he came to Srivasa Angam in Mayapur. Sitting under a bakula tree, he thought, "These Vaishnavas are plundering the pleasure of the world. Such houses, such bowers, such platforms, such beautiful yards. Each Vaishnava is sitting in his own kutira, chanting japa. They are without worries like bulls of Dharma. The village women, after bathing in the Ganga, bring them water, fruit, and various foods. The Brahmanas doing activities of karma kanda are following their path for such attainments, but now the Babajis are enjoying the cream. Kali Yuga is fortunate. Raghu, Jete, Bala, these three are followers of Kali. Coming here today, I've understood the meaning of this statement today. My being born in a Brahmin family is useless. No one gives us water and fruit. The Vaishnavas call us logicians and fools, and Brajanath believes it. He is so learned, but has fallen into the hands of these people wearing loincloths. I am Vani Madhava. I will put an end to Brajanath and these Babajis." Thinking in this way, he entered one kutira. By coincidence, in this kutira, Raghunath Das Babaji was sitting on a seat made of banana bark, chanting japa. One can understand a person's nature by seeing his face. The Babaji saw that the personification of Kali, wearing the clothing of a young Brahmin, was sitting there. The Vaishnavas think of themselves as lower than the grass by their nature. They tolerate the afflictions caused by enemies and desire their welfare. They have no pride and they respect all others. Thus the Babaji respectfully made Vani Madhava sit down. Vani Madhava was extremely non-Vaishnavic. Not knowing how to respect Vaishnavas, he offered blessings to the Babaji, thinking him to be a Shudra, and sat down. Wow. In other words, Vani Madhava was actually much younger than this Babaji, obviously. He says, "She walked by blessings." Babaji said, "What is your name? Why have you come?" Babaji spoke using familiar pronouns like to me, you. It's like an insult in India. And in many traditional cultures where you have familiar you and a formal you. Like in Spanish, it's like that too. Tu and usted. So Vani Madhava's eyes became angry. Ah! With crookedness he spoke, "By wearing a kopana, have you become equal to a brahmana? In any case, I say this. Do you know Brajanath Nyaya Panchanana?" Babaji said, "Forgive my offense. Do not find fault with an old person. Brajanath sometimes mercifully comes." Vani Madhava said, "He is not a straightforward person." In other words, Vani Madhava is trying to create a conflict between the Babaji and Brajanath. So he'll say negative things about the other person to each of the persons. That's how you actually win a fight with two people. You turn them against each other. That's called beta. It's one of the items of politics. Coming for a few days, he will control you by his humility. He will make you do what he wants. The Brahmanas of Belpur are opposed on seeing your behavior. Consulting together, they send Brajanath to you. "You're an old man. Be a little careful. I will come from time to time and inform you of the nefarious plans. You should not inform them about me. If you do, you will get in trouble. I am going now." Saying this, Vani Madhava returned home. What a nasty creep this Vani Madhava was, even though he has a nice name. After taking lunch, Vani Madhava went to Brajanath and said, "I went to Mayapur early today on business. I saw there an old Vaishnava. He was probably Raghunath Das Babaji. I spoke with him and mentioned about you. He said horrible things about you, which no one uses against Brahmanas. Finally, he said he would make you eat from the plates of 36 outcasts and end your position as a Brahmin. If learned men like you go to persons like him, there will be no respect for Brahmana scholars. Brajanath was astonished to hear this from Bhani Madhava. For some reason, his faith in the Vaishnavas and his devotion to Babaji doubled. He said, I am busy with some special task today. Go home tomorrow morning. Hearing from you, I will think about it. Bhani Madhava departed. Brajanath knew well about Bhani Madhava's duplicitous heart. Brajanath had studied many Nyaya scriptures, thus he did not by nature like wicked actions. He had shown friendship with Bhani Madhava since he had said he would help him take sannyas. Now he understood that Bhani Madhava had supported renunciation with the intention of fulfilling some nefarious plan. He also concluded that Bhani Madhava would gain from the proposed marriage. For that reason, he had gone to Mayapur to lay the foundation of his plot. So what he was going to gain was a feast of puris. Not a very big gain. He thought, O Lord, may I have firm faith in Guru and Vaishnavas. May it not be weakened by the wicked intentions of rascals. Thinking in this way, the day ended. After twilight, he went to Srivasangam with an agitated heart. When Bhani Madhava had left, the Babaji thought, this person is a Brahma Rakshasa. Rakshasa means people who eat people. Brahma Rakshasa. Rakshasam Kalima Shracha Jayante Brahmayonishu. The demons will take birth in Brahmana families in Kali Yuga. This scriptural statement was born fruit in this person. Pride in his varna, useless pretense, hatred of Vaishnavas, and pretending to support Dharma showed in his face. His narrow shoulders, blinking eyes, and crafty speech revealed his heart. Brajanath has such a sweet nature, and this person has a demoniac nature. O Krishna, O Gauranga, may I not associate with such persons any more. If Brajanath comes today, I will warn him. Wow. When Brajanath entered, the old Babaji felt double the affection of previous times. Come, he said, and embraced him. As Brajanath wept, he kissed the dust of Babaji's feet and sat down. Out of shame, he could not speak a word. Babaji said, a Dardik Brahmin came early today, spoke some agitating words and left. Do you know him? Brajanath said, Prabhu, you have said that there are many types of jivas in the universe. Among them, some full of envy like to disturb other jivas. Bhani Madhava, and I'm ashamed to call him a brother, is the chief among them. I would be happy if you did not talk about him further. The truth is that he will criticize me in front of you and criticize you in front of me. Finding faults, he creates dissension among friends. Hearing his words, do not take any notice. Babaji said, O Krishna, O Gauranga, I have been engaged in serving Vaishnavas for a long time. By their mercy, I have attained the power to distinguish a Vaishnava from a non-Vaishnava. I have been able to understand everything. You do not need to speak more about this. Brajanath said, forgetting all this, please tell me, how does a jiva bound by Maya attain liberation? Wow. In other words, how do we get out of this terrible material world? Oh my God. Babaji said, if you hear the 7th verse of the Dashamula, let me just check one. If you hear this, that's good. The 7th verse of Dashamula, you will receive an answer. Yada Brahmam Brahmam Harirasa Garad Vaishnagyanam Kadachit Sampashantad Anugamane Shadruchiyato Tada Krishna Vrichat Shajyati Shanakair Vaikadasham Sarupam Vibrano Vimala Rasavogam Sakurute. When a jiva bound by Maya, wandering from higher to lower births in this world, sees a Vaishnava absorbed in the rasa of the Lord, he develops a taste for following the Vaishnavas. Gradually, by repeating Krishna's name, etc., he gives up the state of Maya and attaining his Swarupa becomes qualified for experiencing the ras of serving Krishna purely. So what this is saying, that we're wandering all over the world, Brahmanda Brahmate Konda Bhagavan, Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Vata, as Lord Chaitanya says, the living entity is wandering all over the world, but by the mercy of Krishna, he gets the association of a pure devotee, and he gets the seed of the creeper of devotion implanted in his heart. In other words, that's how you get liberated. Pretty easy. Brajanath said, I would like to hear some pramanas from the Vedas related to this. Now, the word pramana in this particular context means proof. What's the proof? Prove this to me. Babaji said the Vedas say, Samane vrikshe purusho nimokno yandi shaya shochati muyamana justam nada pashyati anyamisham ashamahimanam iti vittoshoka. Although two birds are in the same tree, the eating bird, the jiva, laments constantly in bewilderment. When he turns to his friend the Lord and knows his glories, the suffering bird becomes immediately free from all anxieties. That's from the Shvetashvatara, Upanishad 4:7. And famous verse, and this indicates that within our heart there's two souls. There's the Lord in the heart, and there's me in the heart, or us in the heart. Well, me, or you in the heart. And we're trying to enjoy the world, and the Lord is watching us and lamenting how stupid we are. So Brajanath said, when the jiva sees the worshipable Lord, the jiva gives up lamentation and understands the Lord's glories. Does this statement describe liberation? In other words, when we see Krishna, we don't lament. What Brahma Bhuta Prasanatme, Vishachati Nakangshati, Samakse Veshu, Bhuteshu, Nadbhakti Lavate Param. Babaji said, liberation is becoming free from the bondage of Maya or illusion. It is surely attained by a person who has received the association of devotees. When the jiva attains liberation, one should understand that the jiva has attained a position of glory. Muktir vayata rupam asurupena vyayasti. Giving up another form, the jiva becomes situated in his Swarupa. Swarupa, of course, means his eternal nature or his eternal form. This is liberation. That's from the Bhagavatam 2.10.6. As soon as one is free from bondage, the work of liberation is finished. But becoming situated in one's Swarup, the jiva starts to perform unlimited activities. That is his main goal, activities in Krishna consciousness. Liberation is said to be freedom from suffering. But after liberation, there's this situation of attaining spiritual happiness. In other words, liberation in and of itself is not that desirable. It's just like a negation of suffering. But actual happiness is attained by being Krishna conscious. That is described in the Chandogya Upanishad 8.12.3. Evam evasya samprasado smach charirat samutaya param jyoti rupa sampadya svena rupena binishpadyate sotama purusha satatra pariyate jakshan kridan Ramamana. You see immersing rising from his body. He attains the supreme light of the Lord and manifests with his own form. The Lord is the supreme person. The liberated jiva moves, eats, plays, enjoys with women, vehicles, and relatives. So in other words, okay, let me unpack that. It's like the Bhagavad Gita describes that when one is Krishna conscious, even though he's eating, sleeping, doing this, and that, he actually understands he's doing nothing. It's just the body doing its activities. Brajanath said, what are the qualities of a liberated person? how can you distinguish a liberated person? So Babaji said, the Chandogya Upanishad 815 describes 8 characteristics. Atma Bhata Padma Vijaro Vimritur Vishoka Vijigatso Vipasak Satchakama Satchasan Kalpason Vaishtavyaha. One should know that Atma is without sin, without aging, without death, without lamentation, without hunger, without thirst, whose every desire is truth and whose every desire is fulfilled. Wow, that would be pretty good. That's our actual state. Yeah. That we're not controlled by age, death, lamentation, hunger. We don't get thirsty. The body, of course, has these symptoms. Rajanath said, the mula means root, verse stated that the jiva, after wandering in the samsara, repeated birth and death, attains the association of the Vaishnava absorbed in ras for the Lord. Then his auspiciousness arises. Can one not attain bhakti to the Lord by auspicious acts like Brahma Gyan, Ashtanga Yoga, etc.? Of course, Brahma Gyan means knowledge of spirit. Ashtanga Yoga means basically the Eightfold Path of yoga. Yam, niyam. In other words, the asanas that people do, the breathing exercises that people do, withdrawing the senses, etc. So his question is actually very appropriate. Is there another way to become Krishna conscious? Can one become Krishna conscious by doing hatha yoga? Or by understanding spirit, becoming very educated? But the Babaji is going to quote a verse that really proves that one cannot become Krishna conscious, because this whole section is based upon proving the point that the only way of becoming Krishna conscious is what? Is to associate with great devotees. Of course, that's also stated, let me quote, by Jaiva in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Ruganai tatapasa nayati nachejya niravat panad grahadva nachandasanaiva jalagni suryar avramo maho parabjobhishekam. No one can become Krishna conscious by performing austerities, by doing any of these things, only by taking the dust of the feet of a pure devotee. So here's the verse that we just quoted from the Bhagavatam. Only by associating with my pure devotees, one can destroy material attachment and attain me. One cannot attain me by Ashtanga Yoga, the distinction of Atma from the body, practice of non-violence, the study of the Vedas, austerity, sannyas, sacrifices, charitable projects, donations, vows, worship of the devatas, secret mantras, holy places, or observing prohibitions and rules. Wow. 11, 12, 1 to 2. In other words, you want to become Krishna conscious? Then we please Krishna's devotee. That's the only way. That's the only way you can become Krishna conscious. So that's the path that I've been focusing on, which is simply pleasing Srila Prabhupada. And I understand that. I don't have to be austere. I don't have to be particularly, super intelligent or handsome. That's funny. I simply have to please Prabhupada, and then success is there. Yasha prasada bhagavat prasada yasha prasadana gati katopi, as we're chanting every morning. Hopefully we are chanting every morning. This means that the other processes cannot control the Lord like the association of devotees can. Ashtanga Yoga and other processes satisfy the Lord secondarily. But by the association of devotees, the association of devotees is the only cause of controlling him. Why does Ashtanga Yoga satisfy? Because at least you're following some directions from Vedic literatures. Okay, I'm satisfied. But if you want to not just satisfy the Lord, please the Lord, control the Lord, then it's required that you serve. Okay. Hari Bhakti Shuddhaya says, very interesting verse, Yashayat Sangati Pumso Manivachad sa tadguna sakula dvaitato diman swayutyan eva samshayat. A man will attain the qualities of the person with whom he associates, just as a crystal takes up the color of an object next to it. Therefore, the wise man will take shelter of those who have qualities like his own for the prosperity of his family. In other words, association. I mean, even in this material world, if someone is just in Maya, not Krishna conscious, if we associate with them, depending on what qualities in terms of the modes of nature they are manifesting, we will actually get those same qualities. It's like a subtle force within the universe. You associate with someone who is in ignorance, you will become a very ignorant person. Associate with someone who is in goodness, you'll become a very good person. Or passionate, and you'll simply want to make money. According to one's association, one shows qualities just like a crystal. Thus, by association with pure devotees, one becomes a pure devotee. Association with devotees is auspicious in all ways. The advice given in scriptures to live without the association means to associate only with devotees. In other words, the scriptures sometimes say one should live in a secluded way. So sometimes people take that too literally and go to some mountains somewhere and think, I'm living in a secluded way. I'm not able to talk to anyone. But it means without material association, or to associate only with devotees. If the association takes place without one's knowing about it, it is very beneficial. Wow. Even if one associates with a great devotee without one knowing what one is doing, still beneficial. Sango ya samsrite retur asatsu hito diya saeva sadhu shukrito niksongapaya kalpate. Association with materialists done in ignorance is a cause of bondage. Association with devotees done in ignorance leads to liberation. Bhagavatam 3:25-55. In other words, if you associate with a great devotee, even though you don't know what you're doing, you get benefit. It's like it rubs off on you. That's a fact. Just like even with dirt. Let's say, if you associate with dirt, you get dirty. And if you go into a shower, even though you may not know what you're doing, you're going to get a little clean, hopefully. So, another famous verse from the Bhagavatam. Naisham Batistava Urukurmangrim Srishatyanartha Bhagamo Yadartha Mahiya Sampada Rajobhishekam Niskinchananam Navanita Yavat. As long as their intelligence does not accept the dust from the feet of devotees having no material desires, the intelligence of these people will not realize the lotus feet of the Lord, whose secondary goal is the destruction of samsara. 7.5.32 Srimad Bhagavatam. So what does that mean? We're not going to realize the lotus feet of the Lord as long as we're not desiring to associate with the devotees of the Lord. And the devotees of the Lord only have as their secondary goal the liberation, which is destruction of samsara, not as the primary. The primary goal is to please Krishna. And automatically everything comes as a result of that. You please Krishna, you get knowledge, you get renunciation, you get happiness. Everything is just like comes automatically. Nayam mayani titani nadeva mritchachila maya te punakturu kalena darshanat eva sadava. No one can deny that there are holy places with sacred rivers, or that the devatas, these demigods, appear in deity forms made of earth and stone. But these purify the soul only after a long time, whereas saintly persons purify just by being seen. Bhagavatam 10.48-31. There's another verse in the Bhagavatam, which I don't know the Sanskrit of, that says, that the bathing in the sacred rivers for Dunipo and Shevaya only purifies you after prolonged use. But the association of devotees purifies you immediately. In fact, Bhagavatam also describes that the association of devotees purifies even the holy places and the holy rivers. Like the Ganges didn't want to come down to the earth planet. Why? Because the Ganges was going to be a place where rascals would bathe. And so the Ganges said, I'm not going to let rascals bathe them, eating up all their bad karma. And the answer was, if you come down, not only will the rascals bathe in you, but even better than that, or apart from that, the pure devotees will bathe in you, and they will purify you and absorb all that. That was Bhakti Rath who stated that to the Ganges. Bhakti Rath was responsible for bringing the Ganges down. So, Bhavavargo Brahmato Yada Bhavech Janashatari Yachita Satsamagama Satsangamo Yari Tadaiva Sadgatao Paravareshe Twai Jayate Mati. When the material life of a wandering soul has ceased, O Achyuta, he may attain the association of your devotees. And when he associates with them, there awakens in him devotion unto you, who take shelter of your devotees and are independent of higher and lower beings. Another important verse, Bhagavatam 10:51-53. Wow. The jiva bound by Maya without beginning and samsara, that's us bound by illusion and repeated birth and death, wanders in the wheel of karma from time beyond memory, sometimes as devatas, demigods, sometimes as an animal. If he attains association with the devotees by sukriti, that means some pious activity, from that time he develops an interest in Krishna, the Lord of all beings. Sukriti, piety. Here we're talking about pious, spiritual piety, not material piety. And associating with devotees without knowing that you're associating with devotees is called agyata sukriti, which basically means you're associating with devotees without knowing that you're associating with devotees and you still get benefit. Just like the example I've used many times before is when I was listening to the radio many years before this, actually probably about 55, 60 years before this, I heard Prabhupada chanting. And I didn't know who that was. I didn't know what he was chanting. I just heard the chanting and it captured my mind. That's called the Gyata Sukriti. And then somehow or other, now I am here in Krishna consciousness, trying to please Prabhupada. Prajana said, one attains the association of devotees by sukriti. That's piety, but not mundane piety. What is that sukriti or piety? Is it karma? Is it just based within the mechanistic laws of cause and effect in this world? Or jnana, just attaining knowledge and desiring liberation? Where does it come from? So Babaji answers, in scriptures, sukriti means auspicious acts or shubha karma. Now, karma in this particular context means activities, auspicious activities. This is two types, those acts which give bhakti and those which give immediate results. So, two types of auspicious activities give auspicious results. One is the association of devotees, spiritual activities, and the other is activities that elevate one materially. They're called karma kanja. The nitya means eternal, and naimitika, temporary karmas, and the sankhya gyan, that means basically the analytical knowledge of this world, are sukritis which give immediate results. Okay, so nitya in this particular context doesn't mean it means eternal, but it means something that you do every day. The word nitya can sometimes indicate something that's eternal, like nitya shashvato yam purana nahanyate hanyamane sharira. That means the soul is eternal. But it could also mean something that's always done. Like every morning you get up and you brush your teeth. That's your nitya karma. Okay. Naimittika means things that you may occasionally do. But actually for pious reasons, material pious reasons. And Sankhya Gyan means basically the analytical study of matter and coming to the conclusion of spirit. Sankhya, the word Sankhya means to count. So they give you immediate results in this world. In other words, you get a nice wife, you get a nice car, you get money, whatever. Something that's really not substantial. It's temporary. But anyway, let's talk about contacting devotees. And contact with places, time, and objects which produce bhakti are sukritis which give bhakti. So here is a distinguishing factor between the two types of piety. After attaining sukritis which give bhakti, the activities or pious activities which give you love of Krishna, they become strong and give rise to bhakti for Krishna. The sukritis which produce immediate results are extinguished on giving the result. In other words, let's say I do some material pious activities. Let's say there's a material pious activity. I feed the poor. Well, of course we believe in feeding the poor. We believe in giving them prasadam, not just mundane food. So let's say I feed the poor and try to help people, and it happens to be some material pious activity. I'll get a result. I'll come home and there'll be a big dinner for me. But after eating the dinner, result is gone. Not so good. You use up the good results. Even if you go to the heavenly planets, use up the good results, and then you gotta start from scratch. Just like when you make a lot of money, spend it. And when you spend it, ain't no more money. But Krishna conscious Sukriti, you get a result, and the result keeps giving. The many auspicious acts such as charity performed in samsara means the material world, give results in the form of material enjoyment. Like I said, you feed a lot of poor people, you get a very good dinner. The Sukritis of Brahma Gyan, that means knowledge of spirit, give liberation as their result. They cannot give bhakti as a result. Just knowledge of matter and spirit. Then you get to liberation, but liberation is temporary. It's not permanent. Because, why is it not permanent? Because it's not your nature. You eventually fall down. Association with devotees, Ekadashi, which is today, Janmashtami, which is in September, Gaura Purnima, usually in March, etc., are times that produce devotional mentality. So today is Ekadashi, so it's producing devotional mentality. Seeing and touching Tulasi. Tulasi, of course, is the sacred Tulsi plant. The temple. Even seeing the temple. It's like some devotees, sometimes they're not allowed to go to the temple because of, different restrictions in India. And especially sometimes the Westerners are not allowed to go into the Jagannath temple. So just seeing the temple, seeing the chakra, and the chakra means like the wheel on top of the temple, you get a devotional mentality. Mahaprasad means food offered to Krishna. And holy places and other spiritual objects are sukritis which give bhakti. So these are the type of sukritis we want, not material sukritis. Okay. With that in mind, it's now time for question time. Okay, and we'll allow you to unmute yourselves. You are allowed to unmute yourselves now, you pious people. So, who has a question?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you're speaking about we just need like just to be in the presence or see a great pure devotee that'll completely change us. Well, it seems that also means the quality of our association.
Yeah, the
Like
quality of
I'm
obviously you don't want to be associated with them and offending them. Better to serve them with a mood of service. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
But if you have a nasty attitude, it's going to have opposite effects. It's like the sun. Prabhupada said associating with devotees is like the sunshine. That the sunshine can burn you, just like today I was outside. And it is very hot. And I was trying to do my walk in the middle of the day. And I even had a hat and everything like that. But phew, it was too much for me. Too much because it's very, very hot outside. So it can burn me or like suffocate me. Or if I, it can purify me too. Because today it was hard to get purified by the sun. Okay? So here's another question. Actually, it was in the chat window. If we have some conflict with devotees, how can we move on from them with a clean slate? Good question. If you have conflict with devotees, why should you have a conflict with devotees? That's rascaldom. So anyway, so if you have conflict with devotees, try to understand that this particular devotee who has an opposing position or opposing viewpoint or whatever is doing so because that's the best of their ability. And we're not going to say they're wrong. I mean, unless their viewpoint is one should smoke marijuana to be Krishna conscious. But we can empathize with them because of the knowledge that they have, because of the realization that they have, then we appreciate that. I mean, I'll give you an example. I mean, many times I have not conflicts. I never have conflicts. So that would be a lie. That would be a lie. Many times I have differences of opinion with different Vaishnavas. I mean, like today I was having a phone call with one of my dear godbrothers on the GBC, and he happens to be extremamente conservative. Okay. And I'm extremamente liberal. There's a difference between the two. And let me give you an example. I mean, I'm in favor of allowing ladies to be guruinis, and he's not in favor of ladies to be guruinis, although he'll accept it. And so I was talking to him, and we love each other. And I appreciate his viewpoint because everyone has different angles of vision in the spiritual world. Everyone has different angles of vision too, because we all have our personal perspectives. It's not that everybody is one, even in the spiritual world. It's not like some what is it, utopia, where everyone is just like, what's that? Walt Disney, some Walt Disney movie. It's a small world, or song is a small world. So we appreciate. We love all the Vaishnavas, even if their opinions, not insofar as Krishna consciousness, but are diametrically opposed to us. Even if they are, we love everybody. Very good. Okay, so here's another question. Hare Krishna Maharaji. We were discussing associating devotees and material people. Maharajji, how do we save our sadhana when we are surrounded by materialistic people where their desires, goals don't match with the path of devotion? How should we maintain a fine balance? Good question. We should be like a lotus leaf that's in the water. It has a waxy covering and never gets waterlogged. And the way we accomplish that is the Maha Mantra. I mean, I know when I have to associate extensively or be with extensively some people who are even opposed to Krishna consciousness, because I don't speak about that, but I know that they really don't like Krishna consciousness so much. in my mind, I'm going Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And this Maha Mantra saves us from everything. You experience a material desire, you chant in your mind. You put in difficult circumstance, you chant in your mind or chant out loud sometimes. And in every circumstance, we take shelter of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, "You're my only friend in this world," uh, referring to the holy name. Jiv Jago, Gora Chana Bole, Gota Nidra, Yanomai, Pisachira Kole. Next question here in the chat window. Hare Krishna. No, in chat window. Hare Krishna Maharaj, or glorious Prabhupada. Maharaj, similar question above. If we fall down from our sadhana or spiritual pursuit, how can we catch ourselves and help improve? Ourselves improves. You answered your own question. Just catch yourself. Just continue where you were before. Pick yourself up. How do you, like if you're walking and you trip, or a little kid is learning to walk and they trip, then what's the solution? You get up and you try again. That's the only solution. Okay, Pran Govinda, you have a question.
I have a question, Maharaj.
Yeah. Oh, Sam. So, Sam.
Krishna Maharaj, good hear me? My question is, there's so much to read, so much literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, maybe in a lifetime, there's so much knowledge spiritually to read. At what point do we actually practice? Because I guess we could get caught up in just reading and never practicing. Is that possible?
You only have, actually it said in the Nectar Devotion, one shouldn't try to be a monk. But if you just are, if you actually just read one book, the Bhagavad Gita, and try to understand that book, that's sufficient. Of course, if you want to read more, you got the Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but I wouldn't worry about it. Everything is within the holy names. And if you have the time, then you read. Some people don't have the time. I mean, they'll never do anything else other than reading. We're not supposed to become bookworms. We're supposed to be worms at Krishna's, not worms, but dust at Krishna's lotus feet. So that's the answer. You know, I wouldn't worry about it. You read what you can. I mean, I have so many books here on my bookshelf. Obviously, I will never. I mean, I've read all the Prabhupada's books, the main books. I haven't read all the tiny books because those aren't major books. You know, the little books. But I've read all the books probably several times. I've read Bhagavad Gita many times, and so just do what you can with whatever you can do. Don't try to become too educated in the name of Krishna consciousness, because then you'll lose sight of the actual goal of Krishna consciousness. Good question. So, Pran Govinda, you have a question, just real quick.
Yes, Maharaj. I put that question in the chat, but I have a related to that, that generally we do not have a conflict with the essential principle. Nobody is fighting to establish Shiva as a god in place of Krishna.
Yeah.
But what most conflict we have is our personal preference, the way I look it, and at the same time we will maintain the individuality, I'm assuming, eternally, and of course we will, but to respect that at the same time, to go along with a non-offensive mentality, I find very difficult sometimes.
Yeah, it is difficult. So what I do is I try to put myself in the other person's sandals or shoes and try to see things from their perspective. I mean, all of us, this is an interesting question, because all of us are a result of our past samskaras.
Mm-hmm.
And before we become Krishna conscious, we have all these different impressions that have been there. I mean, some of us had happy childhoods. Some of us have very sad childhoods. Like someone who had a parent who was extremely mean or abusive or beating may have certain psychological quirks that other people do not have. I mean, it's just like, that's life. And so we have to see that, you know, I, like you and everybody else, have gone through all these different experiences through many lifetimes So obviously, our personalities are not only spiritual personalities going to be different, but the material manifestations of our spiritual personality may be in conflict sometimes. And so I can just appreciate, this person is struggling, trying his best to be Krishna conscious in spite of all these samskaras. And until they become, just make sure everybody can chant the holy name. And eventually, they'll become Krishna conscious and these samskaras will disappear. I mean, for example, one example, many devotees are really into conspiracy theories. They see everything as a conspiracy. Everything. I mean, just always conspiracy. They think, the GBCs are a conspiracy to do this, or anyway, so many conspiracies to take over the movement or something. So that's their mentality, but it's really based upon their past experiences in this world. So I tend to be empathic, and I say, I understand this person may be thinking like that. They're wrong, because there ain't no conspiracy. I mean, practically speaking, conspiracy in this world are practically impossible, except the conspiracy of Maya to entangle us. Because people in Kali Yuga don't cooperate enough to have a bona fide conspiracy. Like people will think sometimes, about COVID. COVID was a conspiracy by Bill Gates to do what? Try to get rid of most of the population so he and his rich friends could live a happier life without all these people bothering them. Yeah, come on. Come on, get off it. But we find so many, I know so many devotees who believe things like that. That, you take this COVID shot and it's going to kill you. It's a conspiracy to get, but I appreciate, I love you for thinking like that. I understand you probably have gone through so many traumatic experiences when you're young, and Hare Krishna. Okay, I got to end because there's
But
conspiracy.
Maharaj, I just a short question on that. So, as far there is no essential principle war, and there is none, but most of the offense that people suffer, like Gopal Chapal, it was essential principle against Shivash.
Yeah, that was essential.
Or Gopal Chakravarti. But in ISKCON, we don't have a war against or argument or conflict against essential teachings. It's just that individual. So you are suggesting I should just learn to tolerate and see from their angle. Am I right?
That's right.
Okay. Thank you.
Even the perspective, understanding that if I had gone through the same experiences they had gone through when they were young, I'd probably be thinking the same way. Okay, don't have a conspiracy to keep me up any longer. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj. You are wonderful.
No.